What did you find when you looked at his search history?
One thing that I found was that on the 8th, in the afternoon hours, the user of this account, the owner of the account was Chad Daybell. The user of this account looked up what the wind direction was going to be for the next day.
And the next day would be September 9th of 2019?
That's correct.
Okay. Did that have any significance to you as an investigator?
It did, because of other things that I had learned, and that that is the day that Chad Daybell had said he was going to burn limbs and killed a raccoon in his yard.
All right. So who was checking wind directions? Come on. You're checking wind directions. And the detective there pointing out that it's the next day when Chad does this raccoon hunt, but what the prosecution is really saying is this is burning Tylee, burning her in the pet cemetery, in that fire pit. Charred remains were found in his backyard. And we've heard from neighbors that Chanley Painter has spoken to about bonfires in the backyard at unusual times. What's going on here? I want to remind you about that day where Chad is, for whatever reason, telling Tammy via text message about this raccoon hunt in the middle of the day. The middle of the day. I don't know if raccoons are out in the middle of the day, by the way. Take a listen.
9/9/2019, 11:53:27 a.m. From Chad. Well, I've had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all of the limb debris by the fire pit before it got too soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Fun times. Gonna shower now and then go riot for a while at BYU. Love you. Good for you. I'm back home now. If you recall from earlier in my testimony, my initial assignment for this case was to review tips submitted by members of the public in response to the joint FBI Rexburg PD press release from March 5th of 2020 concerning the whereabouts of Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow. And both Tylee and JJ had been seen at Yellowstone National Park on the 8th of September of 2019, and so that press release was requesting members of the public who were at the park that day and had taken photos or videos to send those in so that they could hopefully aid in the investigation somehow. After reviewing hundreds of tips containing information, photographs, video footage taken from across Yellowstone National Park on or around that date, the 8th of September 2019, I was well aware that that was the last day that Tylee Ryan was seen alive. And so upon reading this text message, sent from Chad, wherein he claims to have built a fire, shot and killed a large animal, and buried it on his property, I became concerned because I recognized that it was sent the day after Tylee Ryan was last seen alive.
Detective Benjamin Dean and all the investigators in this case doing a great job in putting together these bizarre pieces of information to be able to tell this jury a story. And this story is Tylee is burned in the backyard. And Chad is the one in charge of all this. And this now coming out in front of the jury. So is Lori going to point the finger at the prophet, husband number 5? Let's bring back in the think tank Al Wunsch, Darnel, Crosland, Jennifer Brandt. What do you think, Darnel? Is she going to just go after Alex? Or is she going to go after Alex and Chad, that the two men in her life, the two men closest to her in her life, are somehow conspiring to do all this while she's very innocent over here?
Well, absolutely. In many walks of life, you kind of want to focus in on something, be focused. But when it comes to raising reasonable doubt, you spread it across the room. So our lawyers are going to definitely include both of them and then see if, in fact, the jury could grapple with that. And if they can't, that's reasonable doubt. The whole idea about checking the wind direction, only pilots do that. I didn't really see that connection, unless they're saying if they're going to burn some raccoons, they want to make sure the wind is not going to be blowing.
Oh, no, they're burning Tylee. He's burning Tylee in that backyard. They want to make sure the smoke, I guess, isn't going to go into the house or maybe to the neighbors. They want to go to the back of the property. I don't know. To me, it's bizarre. But who looks up wind directions? Like a gravedigger?
Exactly.
An author? What is he? Is he writing another book? Jennifer Brandt, do you think they'll be able to separate Lori from these two men, right? Her brother, who basically followed, wherever Lori lives, that's where her brother lives. He moves based upon where she lives. He's in Rexburg, in an apartment next to her for whatever reason. I think he's got the hots for her, but that's just my own personal opinion. And then Chad, the one who she's, you know, we saw the wedding pictures today that were put into evidence with the malachite rings down in Kauai. Can she really peel herself away from these two men?
Yeah, you know, Vinny, I don't think she's going to peel herself away from Chad. I think she is obsessed with Chad, because anyone who would fall in love or be obsessed or fall under his spell or whatever you want to call it, such that she would get rid of her own children or conspire to get rid of her own children, is someone who is not going to turn around then and throw the blame on him. I think she's still in love with him. And while he may turn around and say it was all her idea, I just don't see that happening. I don't see her making him the fall man. I think she would go after her brother and say it was her brother's idea. Maybe her brother wanted them to be together or something like that. But I don't see her pointing the finger at her husband. No.
Al, these are the wedding photos put into evidence. Do they look happy? Do they look crazy? Do they look different than a normal newlywed couple down there in Kauai?
They look happy, and they also look blatantly insane. But I want to just put 2 points. First, Ben, anything happens to me, check nay, Darnel nay, for any type of situation A as to where he was A. Because something happens to me, I want him to be the first suspect. Secondly, rabid
Where's
raccoons.
the bag of money? Where's the money, Al?
I'm sorry?
Where's the money?
Well, there would be no money, but that's not going to stop Darnell. He put me in a trunk once. But rabid raccoons come out during the day then. So if you've got a raccoon with rabies, that's the one that'll come out during the day, and that's the one you have to shoot because they're potentially dangerous. So, you know, you take a look at it from that standpoint.
Now, are you making this fact up, Al, or is this legit?
I am not making this
I don't have
fact
time
up.
to look it up. I don't have time for a fact check.
You can look it up. It is absolutely true. Look it up. Okay, you don't have to even look it up. I looked it up for you. Rabid raccoons come out during the day. That's one of the things that demonstrates that they're dangerous and they have to be, killed or euthanized. So that's a situation that comes on there. But, you know, with the regard to looking to the wind, a lot of us look to the wind, okay? I mean, you know, if you play golf, you're looking at where the wind is coming in. You're checking out stuff like that. You want to know if you play baseball, then, as you know.
Right.
Okay, you want to know where the wind is.
He is not playing baseball. He's not playing golf. He's doing one of two things. He's either digging graves or writing masterpieces like The Youth of Zion.
Yeah, or taking out a rabid raccoon, as Al said. He must have read the same book that Al read and knew that this raccoon was rabid. He did the right thing.
I tell you, I got to find out who his joke writer is, Vin. But the situation with regards to the wind, you know, if you are burning trash or burning leaves or burning things along those lines, you don't want the wind going to your neighbor's house. You want it going to a direction that's not going to be where your neighbors are, because neighbors will complain if they have that kind of smoke coming in, bellowing into your house.
And does the burning
lawn.
of human flesh, does that have a distinct odor that might also be a problem if your neighbors get a whiff of it?
Well, you know what? I mean, sometimes look, the burning of anything can be offensive, particularly, and I would say human flesh would be obviously pretty offensive. But so would be the flesh of a rabid raccoon. Pretty horrible.
I think he said he buried the raccoon.
But he didn't know about the raccoon on the 8th, right? Jennifer Brandt, I'm putting the timeline together here. He's checking the wind on the 8th. The raccoon doesn't
right.
appear till the morning of the 9th.
Right, and I take the raccoon story as a reason why maybe things were dug up there in the pet cemetery, newly dug up, because they didn't have any pets that had recently died. So, oh, by the way, there happened to be this rabid raccoon, which he, by the way, he didn't even say was rabid, but just a raccoon that was walking around during the day.
Well, he looked
and he
suspicious
decided to
because he
shoot
was wearing a mask, I think.
Oh, Vinny,
No.
you and Al. Oh,
But
boy.
how about the burning of the limbs? He's like, there's storms that are coming, and I've got to burn the limbs before the storm comes, Darnell.
It's only in that. I know this is not the Murdoch trial, but it's only that type of theory in that type of country, in that type of part of the country. I can't understand it to save my life.
Gotcha. All right. They're staying with us, folks. The think tank up next.